Hello there, coffee mates. This is Kuya Jie, and I'm here for another podcast episode. For this podcast episode, I will teach you how to start a podcast from your materials down to creating your first episode. Let's start. First, you need a microphone. Obviously, how could you record yourself if you don't have a microphone? Silly me. In my case, the very episode of my podcast, I use a lavalier microphone. It's cheap and it's handy that you could record yourself nice and cool through your phone. Later on, in my episode, you could hear me differently because I bought a BM800 microphone, a condenser microphone that gives me a much better voice. Another thing that you could buy is a V8 sound card to add some effects to your voice, like having some echo, controlling the treble and bass of your voice, and having different sound clips you could use to your podcast. This one is optional because you could use this or not, depending on your mood. What I'm talking about is phantom power. Phantom power adds electricity to your condenser microphone that may become sensitive or even make your voice louder. But I tell you to ask someone first before buying one. And if you wonder where I record myself, if I only have these materials, well, I'm using my phone as a recorder. Afterward, I made edits on free software called Audacity. Maybe you've heard this software and you are laughing right now because there's a lot of software, but why am I using this one? Since elementary, I'm using this software and it's easy for me to edit my clips rather than migrating to other software where I could do my edits like GarageBand and etc. So, now that you have the materials you need for doing your podcast, it's time to create one. Thinking about a topic is the crucial part of your podcast because you need to consider many things before you can choose one. It would be best if you considered your audience. Who will listen to your podcast? Is it a student, a young professional, a parent, or somebody else? The next thing to consider is in what language are you going to express yourself? Should it be in your native language or through a universal one? Is your topic a pressing issue or something that could bore your audience? These are what you must consider. After having a topic, for me, what's the next thing you might do is to draft a script. It will serve you as a guide to control the time you will speak and value your listeners. Because we are talking a lot of minutes, our listener get bored most of the time, especially if they only hear from you. The script is beneficial in doing a podcast. Now that you have your materials, you have a topic to discuss on your podcast and a script, the next thing you need to do is to record yourself. Recording yourself is also tricky because you need a place where there's no background noise like your AC or even your dogs that like to bark when talking. Find the best spot in your home where you could have your mini studio for recording. After you record yourself, you can post edit it on software. In my case, through Audacity. I added background music like what you can hear and cuts where I startled or paused for a long time. After that, I will upload it to one of the best distributing platforms, Anchor.fm. So basically, you need to create an account in this streaming platform, then follow the steps you need to do to upload your episode. Please take note that you need clip art to stand like your podcast cover. So whenever people view you on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or Google Podcasts, they can recognize you easily. Also, you need to think of a title for your podcast where they could search you easily and listen to your episodes. Like mine, Coffee Minute with Kuya Jie. And that's it for this episode. I hope may natutunan kayo. If you do, please follow and share our podcast para mas marami pa ang makarinig at matuto and for us to have more podcasts like this. Maraming maraming salamat sa pakikinig. Lagi mong tatandaan, sapat ka at mahalaga ka. Kapit lang kapatid, better days will come. Hanggang sa muli, paalam!